Greetings once again, you Sonic heroes out there. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with IDW Sonic the Hedgehog, and it's a special issue. From a technical standpoint, this isn't the 900th issue of anything. It's the 900th publication of a Sonic comic, I believe in the West in general. So I think they're counting Specials, Sonic Universe, Archie Sonic, Sonic the Comic. To a certain degree, I think they're even counting reprinted work to a certain degree. Honestly, they kind of fudged the numbers on this to a bit, but what can you do? They wanted a celebration, and a celebration they shall get. So let's check out what story was so grand they had to label it the 900th issue, because they have brought in a bevy of creators in terms of Sonic printed media, and I'm excited to find out who's on the roster. I know a few, but I don't know everyone. So join me in this celebration, won't you? Nice chat, little cover page of Sonic running, issue 900. 900th Adventure. Ooh, and all the covers, too. First cover by Tracy Yardley, of course. And the friggin' cover B was by Yuji Ikawa. Man, dude. I love it when they get, like, the official Sonic artist on stuff. Evan Stanley, Adam Bryce Thomas, Natalie Fordrain, Richard Elson from Sonic the Comic fame, Jonathan Gray, Matt Herms hasn't really been on anything in a good long while. Clayton Crane and Gabriel Delato. Good stuff. Great collection of covers. And you have people taking over writing duty, and it looks like they took over a certain amount of pages. Wow. To have this kind of relay race. Ian Flynn, Evan Stanley, Nigel Kitching from Sonic the Comic, Daniel Barnes, big up-and-comer, Aaron Hamstrom, Caleb Gollner, and taking over artistic duties, we have Adam Bryce Thomas, The Man, Evan Stanley, Mario Fonseca, Rick Mack, Min Ho Kim. Interesting. Wow, Aaron Hammerstrom doing double duty. Oh, pencilers and inks. Okay. Matt Frosse, Abby Bulmer, and then our colorists, Valentia Pinto, Gigi Dutrick, Reggie Graham, Min-Ho Kim, Evan Malley, Natalie Fordrain, Heather Breckel, letters by Sean Lee, editors David Marriott and Riley Farmer. Okay. Wow, we haven't had both of them on something in a hot minute. From what I remember. And the production was helmed by Joanna Natali. Like, that is a list of oof. Like, if you have read a Sonic comic in a hot minute, oof. Alright, the introduction. What's up, Sonic Squad? Welcome to Sonic the Hedgehog's 900th adventure. This special issue is our way of celebrating Sonic's long history in comics. For 30 years, I feel so old, Sonic has regularly appeared in titles across the United States and the United Kingdom. The team at IDW counted up all Sonic's English language comic adventures from that time. From our own ongoing Sonic the Hedgehog series, to one-shot tie-in issues for the latest games, to cartoon spin-offs, and much more, and arrived at the monumental conclusion that this would be the 900th release, so mostly the 900th release of a Sonic publication. From the creative powers of some of the most beloved Sonic creators of all time, we now proudly present Sonic the Hedgehog's 900th adventure, and hope you join us for 900 more. That's it. 900 more. Nothing else. So, 30 more years of Sonic. Really? Still got a roll call. Interesting. Sonic the Hedgehog, the Blue Blur, fastest thing alive. Miles Tails per hour, tech-savvy sidekick, high-flying genius. Amy Rose, hammer-swinging heroine, restoration ally. Knuckles the Echidna, guardian of the Master Emerald, Angel Island protector. Metal Sonic, loyal minion, mechanical menace. Dr. Eggman, mad genius, egg enthusiast. Blaze the Cat, fire-powered princess, friend from another dimension. Cream the Rabbit, compassionate heroine, the cutest thing alive. Oh, okay, that's the label we gave her. Okay. The Babylon Rose, really. Legendary thieves and mercenaries for hire. Shadow the Hedgehog, the ultimate life form and Sonic's grim rival. Rouge the Bat, treasure hunting spy and restoration ally. Oh, it's all game characters. Okay. Not saying that's a bad thing. It's just interesting to see the Babylon Rogues included in this. Then again, where else would they be included? When is the last time they've actually been in a game outside of like the Olympic Games? Alright, we pick up in one of Tails' many live-in labs. I love that. Lampshade, the fact that he always seems to have a lab somewhere. Tails is looking at a monitor with what seems to be Chaos and Zavok on it, while Sonic's chilling on the couch, strumming a guitar. Tails says, and then there was the time you beat Neo Metal Sonic on Angel Island. Oh, that's what it was. Sonic says, to be fair, buddy, that was a group effort. Tails mockingly says, since when are you so modest? Sonic smiles, saying, one of the reasons I'm so awesome is I make sure credit is given where it is due. Sonic has grown. Tails says, the old humble brag, that's better. Sonic questions, why are we even doing this? Feeling nostalgic or something? Tails tells him, it just occurred to me how lucky I've been to know you for so long and how many crazy adventures we've been on together. I asked myself, how many times has Sonic saved the world by this point? There we go. There's a way of getting around to actually giving a definitive date for how long they've known each other. Just say how many adventures they've been on. Tails types on his keyboard saying, ooh, right, the whole metal virus thing. That brings us to 899 world-saving victories. I'm gonna be honest, that reflection of the monitor in his eyes kinda weird. It's a little off-putting. Almost makes it look like a printing error. Sonic says, again, group effort. You guys gathered the Chaos Emeralds and Silver did a lot of the heavy lifting. Although, I did supercharge the Warp Topaz that ended up bringing the key to it all. So, and then suddenly the Warp Topaz just appears. Just right next to him. Jeez. Sonic looks at it saying, oh, hey, we were just talking about you. It's like, speak of the devil and it shall appear. I know that Sega said they didn't want them to destroy the Warp Topaz because they wanted to maybe do something with it. But is this essentially, either this is their way of making sure you remember it, or this is the way of destroying it by the end of the issue? I am wondering. Because if it's still out there by the end of the issue, then Sega might actually want to do something with it. I guess I'll just have to check this out and see. Tails comes in with his Miles electronics saying, careful, let me run a diagnostic. As Tails analyzes it, he says, it's still supercharged from the Chaos Emeralds. The readings are all over the place. It's highly unstable, and it was kind of unstable before. So has it just been porting around from place to place this entire time? Sonic's pretty nonplussed, saying, that sounds not great. On a scale of uh-oh to panic screaming, where are we at? I love that. Tails types away at his computer saying, the last time you handled the Warp Topaz in this state, you were sent to Blaze's dimension and nearly lost your memory. Sonic says, alright, so we are just shy of panic screaming. Maybe aggressively clutching the armrest. That's a good scale. Tails looks at him apprehensively saying, Sonic. Sonic tells him, just trying to lighten the dire mood. Tails shows Sonic the reading saying, I'm also detecting a cycling surge in power. If this thing overloads again and in the wrong place, it could potentially destabilize the planet's core or wipe out a city. Jeez. Yeah, depending on where it just goes off. This is kind of a situation of release it into space. Sonic looks at the reading saying, yeah, I guess it'd be hard to bounce back from that, you think. So do we put it in a jar for now, or... God damn it, Sonic. Tails types away at his computer saying, we have to get rid of it. Dr. Starline found it somewhere. I wish we actually knew where he found it. Maybe if we put it back, it'll neutralize it. Put it back where? Sonic says, sounds like a plan. You find where it goes, and I'll race it there in no time. Tails then says, but... Sonic turns to him saying, but what? We don't have time to be pensive. Tails starts to panic, saying, if you take on too much of its unstable energy as your normal self, there may be no coming back. Ooh, a dangerous if. Sonic tells him with a thumbs up, we'll just have to figure that part out on the fly. I run, you watch my back. Same as always, partner. Tails says, yeah, okay. If you could just share the energy somehow. Do you still have your wrist comm on? Sonic shows it off saying, yep. Keep me updated while I wrangle this thing. Sonic turns to the Warp Topaz saying, alright, you want to be Chaos Emerald? Let's get you back where you belong. Again, which is where? Sonic grabs it, and, much like its name, he warps. Hopefully not into the dead of space. Tails panically tries to get on the comms with Sonic saying, Sonic, do you read me? Sonic, this is ground control to Major Sonic. Sonic comes over the comm saying, I'm here. Feeling really tingly, but fine otherwise. I mean, where do you feel tingly at? You don't want to feel tingly in your heart. I mean, aside from feelings and emotion. Tails gives a sigh of relief. Sonic finds himself in, of course, Green Hill Zone. Tails comes over the comm saying, I'm getting a lot of interference. Where are you? Sonic tells him, still getting my bearings, but I think Green Hill. Tails tells him, I'll see if anyone's around there. Maybe they can help keep you from being overexposed to the energy. Sonic looks at the Warp Topaz saying, cool. I'll try to find a Warp Topaz-shaped hole to plug this thing into. As the power starts to kind of overtake Sonic's hand, he says, nope. No more infections, corruptions, warpings, or other nonsense. We're going for win number 900. Sonic races off and warps off too. Change in art style. Alright, as Sonic runs through Green Hill Zone, he says into his communication device, Sneakerhead calling Minty Fresh. Minty Fresh, come in. Oh my goodness. Tails says copy, and Tails is fine. We don't need codename. Sonic says no can do. Tornado Nader. Tornado. Oh god. So what do you think this thing's gonna do? Tails says, I'd expect some erratic spatial distortion, maybe localized importation of physical matter from concentrated areas. So it would just warp stuff in Sonic's path? Sonic says, Tails tells him, portals, lots of them, which one immediately appears just below Sonic as he's jumping, and he just barely manages to avoid it, as he struggles saying, got it, just gotta avoid, but suddenly Sonic's warped away, and finds himself in, honestly, what looks like a variety of different levels from, like, a place where space is warped and time is bendable. Combination of Green Hill Zone and Chunan. Tails asks him, are you okay? Sonic says, Tails says, I'm picking up a big energy spike. Sonic says, yeah, speaking of, I'm gonna have to call you back, as a giant orca comes out of a portal trying to chomp at Sonic. A voice calls out, I'll save you, Sonic. And as Sonic turns in shock, in comes Amy Rose, bopping the orca one, only for her to find herself now kind of floating off into space, saying, wait, no, save me! Sonic jumps on, grabbing Amy, as they end up riding on the back of the giant orca through space? As they're on the orca's back, Sonic says, gotta say, not our best rescue effort. Amy says, Tails called for help sounded serious, but I wasn't expecting this. So, what now? Sonic shows off the Warp Topaz saying, we get this rock as far away from me as we can get it. Ideally, in the direction Tails want. No topaz, no portals. Amy says, that's doable, but what about the orca? We can't just leave it stranded here. Ever the bleeding heart. Sonic turns to her saying, I guess, but... Amy says with a smile, don't worry, I know just what to do. We pick up with Sonic running on the water saying, my shoes are soaked. You owe me for this one, Amy. We have Amy on the back of the orca as it follows Sonic, as she says, I'll bake you a batch of cookies, okay? Keep it up. You've got their attention now. The orca continues to follow Sonic as he bounds up more and more of the displaced objects through this shattered space, saying, okay, Tiny, time to go. As the orca jumps at Sonic, a portal appears. Sonic takes the topaz and winds up his arm, saying, swing, bada bada. Amy readies herself, and as Sonic tosses it, saying, swing, Amy comes in and hits it into the void, and as the orca goes through one of the portals, Amy and Sonic land in the water. Later, Sonic is shaking himself dry, and as Amy avoids the water, she says, eek, you smell like wet fur and low tide. Sonic says, just for that, I'd better be getting triple chocolate chip cookies, the good stuff. Hell yeah. As Sonic gets ready to take off, he says, gotta run. If I'm lucky, I can still catch the topaz. But he's stopped by Amy, saying, wait, you think I'm gonna let you leave without wishing you good luck? Go save the world, Sonic. She gives him a hug, and Sonic says, "Aw, thanks, Amy. Thanks, Ames." And then he takes off. Amy then comes to the realization saying, "How am I gonna get home? And I hope you got some cash on you for a hotel." So, what was the point of launching it, though? I'm kind of unclear on why he had her not knock it, like, into the distance or whatever. And how's he gonna find it again? I guess Tails is keeping track of it. Oh, another shifted art style. We cut to later where Sonic has once again grabbed onto the warped topaz. Tails is in communication with Sonic saying, "Sonic, I'm in contact with Knuckles. He's really close now." Sonic says, "He better be, buddy. Don't want to worry you, but I'm starting to feel kind of weird." Wait, I see him. "Knuckles, appreciate you taking time off from Angel Island." Knuckles comes running at Sonic, saying, "Well, Tails said it was important, and he has a habit of being right about stuff like this." Tails comes over the comm saying, "Sometimes I wish I wasn't." But suddenly, the warped topaz starts freaking out. Tails comes over the comm saying, "Sonic, you've got to get rid of the topaz right now. The readings are going off the scale." Sonic says, "Doing my best, little buddy. It's all under control." Knuckles tries to grab onto the topaz, saying, "Nearly got it." Sonic says, "Nothing to worry about. We're going to make it just for..." What? And then suddenly Sonic gets teleported away, knocking Knuckles back. And as Knuckles recovers, he says, I have a feeling we're in big trouble." Wait, was that the only appearance of Knuckles? That was weird. Friggin' one page. Ooh, uh-oh. Sonic finds himself slowly coming to, getting off the ground of a lab owned by Dr. Eggman, the warped topaz next to him, and Metal Sonic at a console, slowly turning to see his hated rival. Tails comes over the comm saying, "Sonic, what's happening? Talk to me." Sonic says, "Tails, I've been transported to some kind of lab." And as Metal Sonic assesses the situation, Sonic says, "I'm weak and barely move." And Tails says, "Metal Sonic, get out of there, Sonic, now! He can't get a hold of the warped topaz." And Metal Sonic goes for just that as he reaches for the warped topaz. Sonic says, "Can't stop him. Nothing I can do." And as Metal Sonic claims the warped topaz, Tails comes over the comm saying, "I'm still monitoring the warped topaz's effects on you, but..." Sonic holds his head in pain saying, "It's bad, buddy. I've never felt like this before." Sonic slowly gets up saying, "Metal Sonic, listen to me. I know we've had our differences in the past, but this is bigger than us. The warped topaz is totally unstable. I need you to give it to me so I can dispose of it safely. We're talking about saving the entire planet here. You've got to believe me." Metal Sonic looks at the warped topaz, considers his options for a moment, and of course knocks back Sonic. Tails questions Sonic, "What's happening?" As Sonic tries to recover, he says, "Tails, But suddenly Metal Sonic goes for another swing that Sonic just barely manages to avoid. As Sonic woozily reels back from Metal Sonic, Tails says, "Sonic, you're scaring me." Sonic says, "Think I'm beaten, don't you? Think I'm finished? Well, I'll never give up. No matter what the odds, never give up." Tails says, "Sonic, it's about those readings I'm getting." Sonic struggles to stand, saying, "I know, old buddy. It's all over. Everything is starting to go dark, and I think that has probably been long enough now, right, Tails?" Tails says, "I have absolutely no idea what's going on anymore." Was he faking it? I'm wondering. I'm like, Sonic normally doesn't talk like that. Sonic suddenly starts racing around the lab saying, "Since I wasn't able to hand the warped topaz over to Knuckles, I figured old Rust Bucket here was the next best thing. But of course, if I had just handed it to him, he might have smelled a rat." Tails says, "Sonic, you're a genius. I just knew those readings showed that the effects of the warped topaz were wearing off quickly." Sonic says, "But I needed to stop you from telling Metal Sonic that little detail." And speaking of Metal Sonic, Sonic sees that the warped topaz is starting to have a corruptive effect on Metal Sonic. And as the effect starts to envelop Metal Sonic, Sonic goes racing over to him, saying, "Uh-oh, I know what's about to happen. Need to move quickly." Suddenly, Sonic and Metal Sonic are teleported right next to Knuckles. Knuckles turns to him, saying, "What the?" Sonic says, "Ha! Return to exactly the same spot, just where I wanted. How about that?" Tails tells him, "I think you're learning to control the warped topaz, Sonic. And I think I found where it's going, Sonic. It's the cave." Metal Sonic turns to Sonic, his arm just utterly dysfunctional, probably overloaded from the energy. Sonic turns to him saying, "What are you still doing here? If I were you, I'd get back to Eggman while you still can. Or do you want to try your luck with this again?" Sonic holds out the warped topaz, and Metal Sonic just takes off, not trying his luck. Knuckles turns to Sonic saying, okay, hand over the warp topaz. I want to do my bit to help save the planet. You can tell me what Metal Sonic was doing here later. Sonic says, it's okay, Knucks, old buddy. I changed my mind. I think I'll keep a hold of it myself after all. Knuckles gets pissed saying, I don't believe it. Well, the next time you want somebody to pointlessly stand around in the middle of nowhere, just give me a call and I'll be right there. After all, it's not as if I have anything better to do. Yeah, Knuckles, man, Knuckles came all this way. You just gotta, that's not cool. As Sonic goes racing off, Tails tells him, that wasn't funny, Sonic. You're going to explain to Knuckles that after Metal Sonic gave you a break from the warp topaz, he didn't need to take it, right? Sonic says, of course, I'm going to tell him. Eventually. Little shit. Oh, we then pick up with a mech in the middle of a dilapidated city. Mech goes, rocket punch! Orbot and Cubot are watching, clapping, with Orbot saying, most impressive. Cubot says, yeah, show that building who's boss. And then suddenly the warp topaz just comes out of the sky and lands right into Cubot's hand. They look at it for a moment and freak out, with Orbot saying, what the? They didn't try to get Eggman's attention in the mech. As Cubot says, it's the warp thingy. Orbot says, boss, look. Eggman says, oh? He looks at them saying, oh ho ho, the warp topaz. I thought it had been destroyed. I never in a million years thought I'd be saying this, but excellent work, you two. Let's get this back to the lab and run some tests before... A voice suddenly calls out, before what, Eggface? Eggman finishes saying, Sonic shows up. Terrific. Sonic waves to him saying, nice to see you too, Doc. Cubot in the Eggmobile says, ha! Sorry, Sonic, but there's no time for games. Farewell. Topaz control! But when that doesn't work and Orbot and Sonic give Cubot a look, I love how they were just like, wait, what? Sonic tries to take the topaz from the two of them, saying, very cute, now hand it over. This thing's unstable. Cubot says, disappear! Eggman then says, that's it, boys. Hold him still while I take him out. And Eggman uses the robot sword to slice through the Eggmobile as well as the building that they were on top of. Man, that's really kind of cool. Eggman strikes a cool pose, I guess thinking that he finally got him. But we then see Orbot, Cubot, and Sonic pop through a portal, with Sonic giving Cubot a noogie saying, had enough, blockhead? Cubot says, I got you right where I want you. Eggman then proceeds to stomp on them, only for them to appear through a portal right above the robot's face. Cubot saying, get him now, boss! Eggman goes for the punch, only to punch himself in the face. Eggman says, okay, that's it. While Sonic, Orbot, and Cubot are still fighting, Orbot realizes, saying, uh-oh, what's about to happen? Eggman says, no more Mr. Nice Guy, and fires off a barrage of rockets at Sonic, who goes racing off with Orbot and Cubot in tow. He goes racing up a building, upward, and as the rockets explode in the sky, it almost seems as though Sonic was destroyed, only for him to come through a portal, riding a rocket, Orbot and Cubot still hanging on, Sonic saying, hey Doc, I think you dropped this, and he sends one of the missiles right back at Eggman's robot. It explodes and doesn't really do much. At first it seems as though Sonic and the others were destroyed, only for them to show up on top of another building, much to Eggman's surprise. Sonic chilling, saying, the old missile rebound gets them every time. Anyways, as much as I'd love to stay and trash your new nerdy-looking robot, I should probably get back to saving the world. You know how it is. Bye-bye! And Sonic just jumps through a portal. Eggman is, honestly, very cool design mech. Not bad. Then says, it's a great design. You're nerdy looking. Saying that after the fact that Sonic's gone. Cubot says, did we get him? Eggman tells him to shut up. While Orbot says, big oof, really? We then cut through to Sonic running through a rocky canyon area. I love the colors on these rock formations. Sonic saying, I don't think I've ever been through this stretch of desert before. It's a great view. Would be better if there were somebody who I could pass the warp topaz off to, though. He looks at the topaz saying things keep getting more unstable by the minute. Only for Blaze, who is next to Cream, to call out to him saying, Sonic, over here. He runs up saying, Blaze, Cream, and Cheese. what are you guys doing here? Blaze says, we were out sightseeing. Convenient. Blaze says, I've never seen a desert like this. Then we received a call from Tails about your current predicament, although Cream's been quiet ever since. Are you alright, Cream? Cream then says, I know I asked to come on adventures sometimes, and you tell me I shouldn't because it can be dangerous, but I really want to help get rid of the warped topaz because it reminds me of how terrible everything was during the metal virus, and I don't want anyone like those bad doctors to use it for anything evil again, even if it's only a little bit. I want to help. Okay. I love the art on this one. Just sucks that it's really hard to keep track of whose art this is. I think it's Matt Frose, who, if it is, they do a really good job of emulating Ueki's art. But Blaze and Sonic are taken off guard by this statement. They then turn to each other, and Blaze gives a nodding approval. Sonic then gives Cream a thumbs up, saying, I can see your mind's made up. Let's get going then. Ready to run? Yeah, they have been kind of leaving Cream out of a lot of things because Sega's standpoint on Cream has kind of shifted to wanting Cream to be more of a hero through circumstance instead of more of an active role sometimes. But Cream is excited, saying, did you hear that, Cheese? We get to help. And she says, chow chow. Chow chow. The four of them go racing off, Sonic tossing the topaz to Blaze, saying, here, Blaze, catch. And suddenly they're warped away. Some kind of nice jungle-looking area. There's so many jungles in Sonic games. Sonic says, note to self, don't toss the unstable teleporting gem. And as they rail grind on some vines, Sonic says, alright, I recognize this place. We can probably get back on track if we... And suddenly they're teleported again to a place with water slides. Kinda looks like Atopos? Is that it? Sonic says, get teleported to an entirely different place. Sure. I do love this. Some nice visual work. Next thing we know, they're teleported to a futuristic city. Although Blaze is kind of teleported to what seems to be a different location to where Sonic and Cream are about to be teleported to. Blaze, realizing this, hops from futuristic car to futuristic car, saying, mustn't lose sight of them. And as she jumps through a portal to a... What is this? Some kind of underground fiery area? This looks like the one fire area from Sonic Adventure. Is that right? It's kind of hard to tell. Blaze lands with the warp topaz starting to kind of overtake her, saying, this gem has more power than I realized. It's no wonder it had such an effect on Sonic last time. As a nearby booby trap tries to spew fire at Blaze, she just dismisses it with one hand because it's just like, dude, come on. Blaze says, as long as I chase after them, more portals will appear and separate us even more, leading us further away from our goal. For their safety, perhaps it would be best if I found this resting point on my own. Typical Blaze trying to do everything on her own. Suddenly she hears Cream call out, Miss Blaze! She turns, calling out to Cream and Sonic, with Cream hovering right over a vat of lava, holding Sonic and Cream and Cheese. Blaze goes racing over the lava, saying, hang on. But as she leaps for the three of them, the warp topaz activates again. They suddenly find themselves teleported high up in the sky. But considering Cream has carried Amy, and more importantly, Big, oh no, this shouldn't be too hard for her to keep them all aloft. I love how Cheese is freaking out. Sonic holds onto the warp topaz with Blaze, saying, here, let me try something. I'm kind of getting the hang of this thing. If you really focus, you can kind of guide it to where you want to go. Concentrate on the gorge from earlier. Blaze says, right. Yeah, it makes sense. Starline was able to figure out how to control it. Why not those who have used gems before? The portal back to the gorge appears above them, with Blaze saying, there it is, but it's closing fast. Sonic calls out, Cream, can you reach it? Cream says, I'm trying, but it's hard just to hold us up. Blaze says, allow me to assist, as she uses her firepower to rocket them through the portal before it disappears. And thus, they end up right back at the gorge where they started at, knocked around just a little bit. Sonic rubs his head, saying, what a ride. Blaze goes over and helps Cream up, saying, thank you, Cream. Cream says, you were the one who saved us, Miss Blaze. What are you thanking me for? Blaze says, never mind. I'm just glad we're all safe. Sonic goes to take the warp topaz from Blaze, saying, seriously though, thanks guys. You made some real progress. Blaze says, did we? We look to be in the same stretch of desert. He didn't mean that literally. Sonic says, see that spot way over there? That's where I met you guys earlier. That looks like progress to me. Speaking of, I gotta go make some more. Catch you both later. And he goes racing off. All three of them wave him off, saying, with Cream saying, bye, Mr. Sonic, and she saying, ciao, ciao. Blaze turns to Cream, saying, he really knows how to find the positive in any situation, huh? Cream says, yep, that's why adventures with him are so fun. Ugh. So I really did dig the art in this one. Not to say that the others were bad, but I just love that Ueki art. Another art shift. Sonic's racing through the mountains, saying, here, where to next, Tails? I've got a feeling the Warp Topaz is ready to pop again. Tails says, the energy signature is really strong as you get close to the final location, but I've got you covered. There's a dimensional Eggman mine up ahead. A decommissioned, that's important, decommissioned Eggman mine up ahead that should limit collateral damage if the Topaz starts spouting portals. Sonic spots the mine, saying, decommissioned, huh? Can't say I'm a huge fan after everything that went down at Echo Mine. Yeah, I think that's when the whole metal virus situations popped off. Tails says, don't worry, this one's ancient history. Records show Eggman wasn't very interested in its gold. He didn't even bother carving his face into the side of it. I love that. Like, he didn't care because he didn't even bother carving his face into anything. Sonic races inside, saying, any more intel before I lose signal underground, Tails? Tails, come in. But Tails breaks over the comm, saying, repeat, Sonic, you're breaking up. Come in. Suddenly a voice calls out, Warp Topaz trouble? We'd be happy to take it off your hands, Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic looks up, saying, well, if it isn't the Babylon Rogue. Jet says, in the feathered flesh? Want to make things easy for yourself and toss that Warp Topaz over to your favorite riders? Storm says, we'll find a good home for it. And Wave says, by selling it to the highest bidder. Guys, not the best plan. Sonic goes racing off, saying, I assumed you're here because you intercepted Tails' transmission, but if you'd paid attention, Jet, you'd know this thing is too unstable to handle. As the rogues follow, Jet says, you forget you're talking to the Babylon rogues. Wave says, handling instability is our specialty. They try to make grabs for Sonic, but he easily dodges out of the way. Sonic saying, I'd never question your balance, Wave. Your speed, on the other hand. Ooh, going for the speed. And as Sonic goes racing off, Storm gets mad, saying, we missed him. Jet says, don't worry, Storm. Remember when we scouted the mine earlier? Sonic's head toward a decidedly dead end, and Sonic meets that dead end over a chasm, saying, looks like I've run out of road. Only for, on the other side of the chasm, there to be Rouge and Shadow. Just chillin'. I guess they also intercepted the transmission, or they were contacted by Tails. Rouge calls out, not if you know where to look, Blue. Sonic says excitedly, Rouge, and also Shadow. Shadow says, a man of many words. Sonic hops over to where they are and says, I'd ask if you're here just to help me with the Warp Topaz, but it looks like Tails must have enticed you here with the potential to hit pay dirt. Rouge says, just golden icing on the crisis cake. Can't have the world ending when there's still so much treasure to enjoy. Isn't that right, Shadow? Shadow, still brooding, says, I just can't stand the thought of power in the hands of fools. Okay, so we're dealing with Boom Shadow, who only speaks in Enter the Babylon Rogues, with Jet saying, would you look at that? We came for the Warp Topaz but struck gold. Rouge tells them, took you long enough. Sonic smiles, saying, 3 on 3, huh? I like those odds. Shadow adds, I've made my disdain for fools with power clear, Sonic, so I offer you 2 options, Sonic. Entrust the Warp Topaz to my superior hands, willing, or have my superior hands take it by force. Oof, oof, oof. Man, whoever wrote this section, they went full tilt on how edgy Shadow had to sound. Storm jumps in saying, hey, what about us? Rouge, obviously not too happy with Shadow's postulating, just kind of face palms, while Sonic says, I think I'll take the third option and carve my own path forward before this topaz warps me off course. And Sonic just bursts through the side of the mountain, nearly knocking the rogues off their boards. As Wave says, look out! Wave looks up, saying, he blocked the path with a portal. Jet says, I guess the warp topaz really is more trouble than it's worth. Okay, let's kick that wanna-be ultimate life form through the portal, then we get all the gold here. Shadow hears this and tells him, let's see how long birds' heads can stand before a wanna-be ultimate life form. Jet panics, saying, hey, Storm, Wave, go get him. Both Wave and Storm are panicking, with Wave saying, but boss, after you. Shadow then launches all three of them through the portal, with Rouge waving them off. We then pick up outside with Sonic, as Tails comes over the comm saying, Sonic? Come in, Sonic. Riscom readings show you're back on the surface. You make it through the cave okay? Sonic says, still here, pal. I hit a Babylon Rogue roadblock for a second, but your reinforcements got things under control. Tails says, sorry, you cut out before I could mention Rouge and Shadow. Rouge was easy to motivate with treasure, but I hope Shadow didn't try to start a fight. Sonic says, ha, not this time. In fact, he reminded me of something important. Sometimes you win a fight by avoiding it altogether. We then see the rogues have been transported to a remote, snowy mountaintop, very much knocked out. One odd shift later, Sonic still running through the mountains saying, this is starting to tingle something fierce. I need to get rid of this now. But the Warp Topaz activates once again and teleports Sonic right into a mountainside, right over a cliff. He curls into a ball, launches himself across a ravine off of some stalactites, landing a perfect three-point landing. And as Sonic continues racing off, he looks at the Topaz saying, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you did that on purpose. Tails comes over the comms, but since he's back in another mountain, it's still staticky, with Tails saying, Sonic, shh, here. Tails says, yeah, buddy, I'm still here, but that last one was a doozy. I think the next one might be game over. As he kind of shakes the Topaz a little. Tails says, no, I mean there. I'm detecting the same energy wavelengths in that cave. You're where the Warp Topaz was found. You did it. You steered all that its crazy warpings to the right place. Sonic says, I caught like half of that, but Tails sounds happy. Looks like I'm in the right spot. Ready to go home, you crazy paperweight? The energy from the Topaz zaps at Sonic's nose, and he says, all right, everybody's in such a mood today. Sonic goes racing all over the cavern, placing the Topaz in every Topaz-shaped hole he can find, saying, how about here? Are you too good for your home? Aw, come on. He then notices one section that has greatness began here, and an Eggman symbol. Sonic says, thank you, Dr. Starline. He sets the Topaz back where it began, but suddenly the energy starts swelling. Sonic says, nerds, and goes racing out of the cave. He spots a hole up in the sky, up in the ceiling, saying, yeah, and he goes racing through as the whole place caves in on itself. Tails comes over the comm saying, the reception just cleared up. I'm not detecting the Warp Topaz anymore. Are you okay? Sonic says, we're in the clear, partner. Send my thanks out to everyone who helped today. Victory number 900 belongs to all of them. Thank you for being a part of our long-running success. We'll see you for the next adventure. That was okay. Just okay. A fun enough romp, really carried out a lot of times by the good art for certain sections. But, I mean, I would have hoped they'd at least set up something at the end here. That's the downside. I mean, the Warp Topaz is still there now. So it does feel as though it could potentially show up again sometime in the future. And this is a good way of making sure you know that it's still out there. So I have to really wonder. Because if this is all there is to it, it's kinda lame, honestly speaking. I mean, it was a fun romp. Getting so many people together for a project, that's not an easy task. So going for a simple enough story, that everyone can follow and add enough to that it doesn't go completely off the rails, not a bad way of going about things. But in doing so, you've essentially have the most played it safe story possible. I really do kind of wish that we had set up that, another villain finds it, like Clutch or someone, or maybe tease at the return of Dr. Starline. I know they keep saying that he was crushed to death, but I don't know, he's too interesting to just have him just gone. That really does feel like a waste of an interesting villain, but also a good way of showing how intense Eggman could be, considering he beat the stuffing out of Starline. And to a certain degree, it makes sense that you would need to put it back where it originated because, the place had handled its energy before, but there's no way nobody finds that in the future. It has to be. To have a whole entire story dedicated to this thing, I don't know, there's gotta be more to it. I really hope there's more to it. We'll see in the next year or two if that comes to fruition. But what did you think about this adventure? Well, I'm kind of down on the story as a whole, mostly because of where it ends up. It was fun here and there. My favorite section had to be the stuff with Blaze and Cream, because it really felt like that section really was the one that took the most advantage of everything. I had to go back. Aaron Hammerstrom, he did that section, I think. The one with Sonic, Blaze, and Cream. And that one really felt like it took the whole chaotic warping to its best aspect. The one with Amy also kind of did, just because you ended up in this weird void-like dimension with all these elements from different levels and stuff just floating through space. But it had to be that section with Blaze, because that really did feel like it highlighted some character. That's why I feel like this was so underplayed. You had a good opportunity with the whole idea of, he has to hand it temporarily over to someone else who holds on to it, chaotic stuff happens, they hand it back over to Sonic, who goes to hand it back over to someone else. That feels like the general premise that they were trying to go for, and that would have been interesting. But they really kind of didn't do that. And when it did happen, where Sonic did hand it off, sometimes nothing really happened. Or sometimes he didn't even hand it off. And it's like, come on, you set up a very interesting premise. You could have had it to where when he handed it off, much like with Blaze, suddenly you're warping all over the place. A lot of chaos happens, but they managed to work through it by playing off of each other, which was highlighted again in the Blaze section. But Sonic never handed it over to Amy. He handed it over to Metal Sonic, but Metal Sonic having it didn't really do much of anything. And honestly, the whole he's feigning, oh no, I can't handle the Topaz, and luring Metal Sonic in to take it was interesting, but have something happen when Metal Sonic takes it. He didn't really do anything with that. I feel like I'm being overly critical, but I feel like you missed out on a really interesting opportunity to just go wild with some art. I mean, Ian Flynn, he's set up the beginning and end, but it feels like, let me double check who. Alright, here's the credit. Okay, so Ian Flynn doing the beginning and end, he set everything up. Evan Stanley with the Amy stuff, that was good, but I wish Amy had actually held on to the Topaz. Nigel Kitching's setup was fun enough, but I'm bummed that Knuckles was only there to just not do anything. Like, that's the one bad thing. The stuff with Metal Sonic was fine enough, but you didn't really do enough with that. It's to the degree that I almost kind of wish that it was just that Sonic ended up where Metal Sonic was, they do their whole thing, shenanigans happen, you do more with the Warp Topaz, and someone else had handled Knuckles, because Knuckles felt so incidental. Daniel Barnes did the section with Eggman, and that was actually not bad. That was actually pretty fun. And you could have the excuse that a lot of the warping happened because Orbot and Cubot were holding on to the Topaz as well. That was pretty fun. Not my favorite section, but it was pretty fun. Like I said before, Aaron Hammerstrom knocked it out of the park. Best section. And I hate to say it, but Caleb Goldner with Shadow, Rouge, and the Babylon Rogues, it didn't do anything for me. The art was okay, but just the storytelling there was just kind of lackluster. I mean, to have the Babylon Rogues versus Shadow, Rouge, and Sonic, I'm like, okay, cool, what's about to happen? Only for Shadow to just threaten Sonic, and Sonic's just like, okay, I'm between Rogues and Shadow, I'm a bail. Just leave. It's just like, you didn't really do anything with that. I'm being so critical, but it's just like, if you at least had some really solid payoff, I could have rolled with it, but you kinda didn't. I really hope in retrospective, this'll be a solid story for me. But for right now, kind of a dud. Fun, but kind of a dud. I hate being a downer. I hate being a downer, but there was a lot of potential here, and I feel like you didn't capitalize on it. And I gotta call that out. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you've made it through this overly long video, I want to hear your thought. What was your favorite section of the story? Do you feel like I do, that there were some missed opportunities here to really sell a great story? And until next time, remember to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. I've been Duuz-Diz-Din. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.